This episode of TRS is brought to you by the HP DV7T with Beats Audio, featuring the smart Intel Core i5 processor. On today's TRS, the day's finally here. We check out the latest WoW expansion, Cataclysm.
If ever there was a video game that needed no introduction, it is the World of Warcraft. And we're talking about the new expansion, Cataclysm, big time. I mean, when's the last time you saw an advertisement on television for an expansion to a massively multiplayer online game? That's World of Warcraft. We're all addicted, have been a long time. Alex and I used to do Project Lore, which I'm sure you guys know about.
Yep.
So Cataclysm, of course, adds 2 new races that you can be, the Worgens
Playable
for the Alliance,
races.
right?
Races that were in the game, but NPCs. So.
Exactly. So now you can play on the Alliance side as a Worgen, which is a cool werewolf, and on the Horde side as a goblin, which is sort of gadgety dudes.
They look like gremlins.
Yeah, they do look like gremlins. Or mixed with Dobby.
Yeah.
And also, you know, completely revamps the 1 to 60. The old vanilla WoW areas have been completely reorganized and split apart because of this cool monster called Deathwing that's gonna come and lay waste to the land. And then, of course, 80, which was the level cap previously, has been extended to 85, and there's new zones there. So first, I want to talk with Dan and talk about. Because you weren't level 80 at this point.
Tried my goddamn hardest.
So we're gonna start talking a little bit about the starting zones, because you also started a new Worgen character, right?
Right.
And the new starting zones, I think, are much more story-based than they have ever been in WoW. So tell me a little bit about your experience and what you thought of the Worgen starting area.
It seems like as WoW went on, they made. So the common thing of an MMO and World of Warcraft is it's the same thing over and over again. You get a quest to go kill a bunch of people, and you turn it in, and you get a quest to go gather a bunch of things, and you turn it in. And it's rinse and repeat throughout the entire,
It's a grind.
thousands of hours, right? But it seems like as the expansion, because I had to race to get to 80, though failed, I played Old WoW, I got to Burning Crusades, and I got to Lich King. And then I played starting area of Cataclysm. And it seemed like as they go on, they make those quests more and more like typical RPG style quests with a little bit more of a story wrapped around it.
Much more variety in what you're doing, right?
Much more variety. Like I'm no longer just killing people and getting a thing. I'm now in a ship and I'm flying and I'm dropping bombs, or I'm catapulting myself onto a thing.
How cool was that?
That was really cool. That was really cool.
The ships that are off and there's no bridge to get to them, so you have to kill a guy who's got an enemy catapult, put yourself into it, and fling yourself flying onto the ship. Amazing.
Really awesome and special. And the whole starting area is one big story, and that I really wish that every area was like that, where I'm being guided along it's a very designed experience.
Well, 1 through 60 now is much more like that than it ever was.
And because I was in the Shattering, still in below 60, I definitely saw, and I was there during the change, so I definitely saw an improvement in quests suddenly became much more, had much more variety in what you were doing, like they've added. But there still is plenty of resource gathering and killing mobs in World of Warcraft, and I don't understand why the whole experience can't be more designed. I mean, there's a large gap to fill, and so there's a lot of filler in it. But there's so many people working on this game for so long and constantly throughout. I don't know why they can't just make things much more designed. I don't know why those have to be special moments. They have to
I think there's many more of them.
There's more of them.
Well, there's a lot more of them. Also, 80 to 85.
Yeah. So tell me what you thought.
Lot of them.
You and I both started in the new underwater areas of Vashir, which I would say even just how you get there and how cinematic that is incredible.
That to me is one of the big step ups that I see, which is you know, they used to do this in Star Wars Galaxies, which they called theme parks, which were there was a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end. You're doing the same types of quests along the way. I mean, there are a lot of variations on those types of quests, but it's all within this linear story that's happening, and they've really, really locked into doing that. You know, when you get to the underwater world, the whole thing is you're trying to stop this massive princess of the Nagas from going into the underworld and being able to screw stuff up from the beginning. And that's the entire story arc that you play through.
But even before that, like just getting there, you're standing on the dock.
Well, that's the thing that I also
and these
want
two
to
guys
say.
start talking.
Well, but and
it's like
all of the
awesome.
all of the new areas, it's not just here's a quest, go get on the ship, and then the ship will take you, and then you walk up to the next guy and hand that quest in. It's really a cinematic experience to get from the place where you are starting to this new area. And the Vashir, I think, was probably the best that I've seen. I've been to that Deep Rum, or Deep Home, and Oldham. And Oldham is cool with the caravan, and then you get like kidnapped and put in jail. I mean, it's really cool. But with the Vashir, you literally are not supposed to be in an underwater world. You are going to an island. And then your boat gets attacked by a giant
squid monster,
and it pulls you
out,
underneath, and you wake up.
Spoiler.
You wake up. I mean, it takes like 5 seconds, but you wake up underneath the boat, and then you have to fight with the people who give you breathe underwater, and then the whole area is underwater.
You get a seahorse mount.
You're riding a seahorse around. I mean, it's amazing.
I would say it is the most visually amazing of any World of Warcraft area I've seen. It looks like Finding Nemo. I mean, it's colorful coral everywhere, bright fish.
Can't wait to see it.
It's
so amazing.
Incredible. And there's so many cool. There's a whole sequence where you do like Jaws-inspired missions where you have to like throw dynamite into this shark's mouth, and he explodes. And then you pick up bits of him and collect stuff. There's so much. This new, even Lich King had a lot of that kind of creativity and different kind of ways.
That was the first time that you got into that thing where you would fly around and bomb people. Was really the first thing that they did in Lich King.
Which is now in.
And now they've applied. I think what they've also done is use this opportunity to apply what they've learned to retroactive, because it used to be, well, just get to 60, it's not that great, but once you get to 60, you get to Burning Crusade, crazy stuff happens. But then just power through that, because Lich King's where the real cool stuff is. But they've also done a lot of things to make playing this game easier, quicker, and more fun.
Which there's
like
two sides of that coin, though. I mean, there's a lot of old players that are upset by that, but I think you and I agree that the streamlined, the clarity of what to do moment to moment,
but also,
is better.
Yes, and also the thing to realize is, like, one of the things that they implemented, which I think is genius, is this dungeon finder. And now it's cross-server, so you don't have to keep going, can somebody please come and heal this? I need to go do it. Hopefully I'll find that one guy on my server who's a healer that happens to want to do the same thing. You can queue up, continue questing, and it'll zone you in and zone you out. Genius. But not only that, they brought back the difficulty in the instances. Not even the end game, the instances. I went into an instance at 83, and
that's the end game.
Well,
mostly.
No. But I mean, the instances as you're leveling through that game. I mean, in Wrath.
I've been doing those.
But in Wrath,
I've been doing all those dungeons.
But in Wrath, you would go into like Utgard Keep or whatever, and you could pretty much AoE the trash, not have to worry about it. That is not the case. In an 81 instance, you've got to crowd control again.
Crowd control is back.
And it should be back, because it felt like old Project Lore instances before we were into the beta, Wrath, Lich King, like Hellfire Peninsula and all that stuff, where you're like, okay, don't just all go willy-nilly because we're going to wipe. And we wiped a couple times, and we had 85s in there, and we wiped on the second dungeon in the game. I mean, it's like...
And healing is more difficult. There's been changes across the board. I think the most interesting thing to say is that how pointed and clear I think this whole game is now for new players. I'm shocked at how many smart decisions they made early on. Like, for instance, they've revamped the talent tree stuff, so everything's much clearer. You kind of have an idea of where you put talents, even if you're not familiar with that mechanic from playing other kinds of those games. Because it's an odd thing to be given this choice right away.
And you have to focus on one thing, which is perfect, because a lot of people, we were having these things where they would just sporadically put things in, and you're wasting talent points.
Exactly. And now tool tips, when you get a new skill, tell you what that is used for. You know, this is good for if you're in a situation where you're being attacked at range, use this, or if you're low on health, use that. It's smart because it's not so daunting to new players.
And those starting areas really streamline getting into the game and make it much more fun. I want to say too that I think part of the joy of an MMO, because there's parts of it where you go, well, an RPG is so much better than this. I can do all these things, but the combat is more exciting and the stories are better. But there's something about existing in this world that, I'm not going to go into this story, but Alex and I had an epic quest for a mount that's very rare and you can't get away. It was like in Stand By Me, they hear about that there's a dead body and we're going to go. Because this is just a living and breathing world, Alex literally approached me and said, there's this thing I heard that you can do. It's not only the designers of the game made everyone have this experience. We just discovered, there's this one thing that not a few people know about. And we went and did this around the game
And it took about an hour and a half.
But we did it.
Yeah,
we achieved it. Inside this world, we had a completely unique experience to anyone else who played the game. And it made it so much more special.
Yeah, I think that we all of course, can recommend this expansion. If you're not already a WoW player, it's a great time to jump in. We're on Executus. The Totally Rad Guild is alive and thriving.
Although now it's an extremely intense raiding guild, so I don't know if it's as open invite to fans as it used to be.
Oh yes, well,
okay. I'm in there, not there yet, so people can come help me out.
I think purely from an amount of content and how rich the content is, I think this is probably one of the biggest expansions ever for a game.
It's huge and it is amazing.
Yep.
It is well worth a download.
Let's go play, guys.
I know, I want to do it right now. My legs are sweating. So remember to stick tuned for This Day in Rad History. And we talked about Cataclysm today.
Yes.
So we got a cool new Cataclysm. We had the TRON background all week, but we had to show some Cataclysm
Itai
action.
Altair hooked us up. Back in the day.
Sweet Cata background.
Yeah, now speaking of hooked up, we have been sponsored by HPE with Beats Audio for a long time
We're
now.
hooking somebody up.
We are hooking somebody up with this bad boy, the DV7T. It's got a smart Intel i5 core processor inside, which is epic, which powers the Beats Audio built-in subwoofer. It's optimized for studio quality sound. It's got an amazing display.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's got crystal clear chat, like a true HD thing, chat webcam thing. The cases are sickness. It's all brushed aluminum with a little bit of etching.
I want it.
It's amazing. So we have been running a contest. And
we got a lot of great submissions.
Awesome.
Great, and
we just spent the last hour and a half fighting over who should win.
it took us a long time to figure out.
We listened to them back to back. And thank you everybody that submitted. So many amazing mashups of us.
Booyah.
So now is the moment of truth. This has been going for several weeks now. This contest where you mash up our stuff into a song.
Correctamundo.
So without further ado,
The winner is...
Wait for it.
What's in the sky?
so badass.
So Tom Richardson sent this in, or Richards, I'm looking at his email right now.
Congratulations, Tom. You get one of these bad boys.
This is
So
epic.
cool. Such a great song. You'll hear more of it in the credits to this show.
Yeah.
I think we out.
It's gonna be amazing. Congratulations, Tom. Enjoy your HP Beats laptop. What's up?
On tomorrow's show, we discuss the movie Tron Legacy.
Today is December 15th, and on this day in rad history, way back in 1966, the immortal Walt Disney died.
What?
Proving him mortal.
His head's frozen, right?
No, it's the
I don't think that's true. But it's a good thing that he died because he's not around to see what they did to the Mickey Mouse video game.
Yeah.
Who sent it in? Who sent that in? Who sent that in?
Oh, thank you, Alexandre Bebu, whose name we have butchered all week and will continue to do so. But thank you, Alexandre.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Jesus came. Your pipe.